today to honor those who have been lost to gun violence. At this time, I would ask you all to continue to be silent to represent those whose voices were silenced 1 month ago in Parkland, Florida. Their stories were ended too soon. Today, we're going to honor that. I will now read the names of those whose lives were lost. Martin Duque Anguiano, Nicholas Dworet, Jamie Gutenberg, Luke Hoyer. I would ask you all to please be quiet at this time as we are honoring the victims of those who were lost. Martin Duque Anguiano, Nicholas Dworet, Jamie Gutenberg, Luke Hoyer, Cara Lugran, Gina Montalto, Joaquin Oliver, Elena Petty, Meadow Pollack, Helena Ramsey, Alex Schachter, Carmen Shentrup, Peter Wang, Christopher Hickson, Aaron Feiss, and Scott Beagle. Sadly, the CDC and other reputable organizations have not been allowed adequate funding to research and report gun statistics. However, based on multiple sources, over 15,500 people were killed in 2017 alone due to gun violence. If we were to read the names of each victim, as we just have for the 17 Parkland victims, it would take over 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours for reading one name per second for every person killed by gun violence. At this time, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce Ada Beams.
Good morning. Thank you guys again for being here. My name is Ada Beams, and I'm a junior for those of you who don't know me. Last month, 17 kids were shot and killed with an AR-15 assault rifle. 17 kids were murdered with an assault rifle. Kids who hoped to change the world, to stop climate change, to win a state championship, kids who feared coming home with bad grades, or not getting into the school of their dreams, kids who dreamed of being teachers, doctors, lawyers, kids just like us. We have dreams just like theirs, and we are here today because our dreams are at risk. There is one mass shooting a day, and nobody talks about that. According to the FBI crime statistics, firearms were used in 71.5% of the nation's murders, and there are still people denying the risk posed by guns. We are here to bring about change, and we are here to let the nation know that this is not the end. This is not a call for one law, but the beginning of an era of social justice and reform. We cannot wait for something to change. We cannot grieve and discuss and send prayers to victims and do nothing. It is wrong, it is cruel, and it is intentionally disrespectful of those affected by gun violence to do nothing. We have a responsibility as a nation, as a people, even as a community here in Clarksville, to take time to apply critical thinking skills, and I can think of no better real-world application than the discussions, leadership, and activism that students are participating in today. This is not something we can ignore. And even if one were to deny the fact that there is violent crime in Howard County, there is violent crime in Clarksville, it would be selfish and deliberately ignorant of the facts not to stand out here and call for change along with over 200 schools nationwide. People are dying, not just in schools, but in homes, office buildings, movie theaters, in the street, and at the hands of police officers meant to protect them. People are dying, and politicians are still cutting funding for mental health programs and repealing already limited past legislation. People are dying, and lawmakers are still prioritizing financial backing over citizen safety. Even in Howard County, some lawmakers have upwards of 75% approval rating by the NRA. I'm sick of people asking me if I really believe I'm accomplishing anything by walking out for 17 minutes. I'm sick of adults telling me that I don't understand and that I should go home, that I should go to bed, instead of demanding my right to a safe and free education. An education without more resource officers, without more locks, alarms, drills, and questions when I arrive late. We must come to lawmakers with compassion and passion to develop solutions. We must demand that they don't just listen to what we have to say, but that the lawmakers, the gun lobbyists, hear what those statistics mean for families. minorities, for young people, for old people, for all people. It is time to act, and we are demanding a sign that what we study for, the life that we prepare for, is secure. This isn't kids avoiding class or a well-coordinated tantrum. This is social activism. We have the power to reawaken the hearts of politicians and of cynical adults who have turned away from hope and the possibility of reconciliation. We have the power to open their eyes to the power of protest. We will not stand for mass shootings. We will not live in a police state. We will not stand for corporate control of democracy, and we will not stand for a militarized community. This is not just a struggle for gun reform, but for greater peace. We are here not to win a short-lived political contest, but because we have a chance to change the culture around activism and politics. We have the opportunity to exemplify the compassion and action we wish to see reflected in lawmakers. We have the opportunity to respond from a place of love and compassion for life and the joys of living, to teach lawmakers that we are not children screaming nonsense at them, but we are young adults, insisting that politicians protect our dreams with laws. This is about changing the way that adults consider young people. We are capable of factual, intellectual discussion, and we have the capacity to affect positive change. We have to seize this opportunity to end human suffering and exhibit the human capacity to love and empathize with one another. Let's stand together for stricter legislation to keep guns out of schools, whether that means criminals or staff, and to protect a future where we get into the college of our dreams, where we win a state title, and where we are safe. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Some of you may know me, but for those of you who don't, I'm Vio Meyer, a junior, and I've had the honor of working with Chris, Ada, and Sam, as well as all of you, to plan this walkout. I would like to take a moment to recognize why we are here, to recognize the fact that in this moment, we have a unique chance to create a great deal of change in our country. We have the opportunity to take action and make this a nation we are proud to call our home. I'm an optimistic person, but in the last few months, that has been a task beyond difficult. This world has been filled with not only intense negativity, but an incredible amount of sadness, pain, and death. The worst part is that almost all of it could have been prevented. I'm both upset and disappointed in the state this country is in, and I'm sure that many of you are as well. This is not the country I want to live in. I don't want my reality to be filled with fear and violence. This is supposed to be a country built on love, compassion, freedom, and happiness. This is the country my parents came to in search of the American dream. Yet here I am living an American nightmare. It seems like every morning I wake up to another headline about a life being lost to a gun. When I saw the number of lives lost in Parkland, I was utterly devastated. But then I saw the students who have seen more tragedy than anyone should in a lifetime. In spite of this tragedy, we all saw what they are doing to honor their lost friends. It is because of Americans like them that today I am proud to be a part of the youth of this nation. As the youth, we have the power to shape our country for the well-being of future generations. I know that many of you feel that you can only watch this happen and there's nothing you can do about it. But look at what's happening right now. We are already making change by coming together, along with students across the nation, to fight for change as one community. I want you all to know that it doesn't stop here. There are a plethora of opportunities that all of you have in front of you. Even before you can vote in an election, you can do something. I encourage all of you to volunteer, and wherever that may be, make it something you care about, something that will help you grow, something that will help you change the world. You can attend town hall meetings, which will help you stay informed and give you an opportunity to meet your community leaders. Meeting those who are representing you and your family will, I promise, give you so much insight into how this country functions. You should contact your representatives when you want something done, because they don't know unless you tell them. There are debates, rallies, walkouts, peaceful protests, and so much more, which all of you can go to see other powerful citizens who are walking and speaking up to change this nation. And you can register to vote. If you are 16 and an American citizen, go for it, please, because come the next election, you will not have to think twice about going to a voting booth and doing it. The most influential thing that you can do is talk. We need to be having fluid conversations with our family, friends, and community about what's going on. It is a frightening time, and to overcome these fears, we must talk about them. This is how we learn what others are thinking, what they have been through. This is how we become more connected so that we can stand together as one nation. And please go beyond social media. This is an amazing outlet, but the power of speech is lost. So if you have something to say, use your voice. It is a powerful one. We all must recognize that this is our chance to have a strong and beautiful voice, to say something and be actually heard. We are being listened to, finally, because we are saying what every adult is too scared to say. We know we have a voice bursting with meaning and power, filled with emotion and determination, a voice that is informed and ready to move forward. We are not going to stand here until we are adults and our ideas somehow become valid. We are not here to listen to old men who are beyond their prime say that we don't know anything because our brains aren't fully developed. We are not here to stay quiet while everyone else talks. And we're definitely not here to watch our peers and friends and family be hurt because a couple of adults couldn't get together long enough to change this broken nation. I know that we are all pained and frustrated by what this country and the entire world is going through. But there will be change because we have a power that no one else has, and no one can take that away from us. As we move forward, let us not forget the lives that were lost and the lights that were dimmed by senseless violence.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Vazzari, and many of you know me as I've been leading the organization of this walkout. I would like to start with a brief history of how we got here. 142 AD, Chinese alchemists accidentally invented a very explosive substance that we now know as gunpowder. 904, Chinese military strategists created the first ever firearms by propelling stones out of bamboo tubes by lighting gunpowder inside of the tubes. 1791, the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution is ratified, guaranteeing that U.S. citizens have the right to bear arms in a well-regulated militia. By that time, arms hadn't changed much. Vastly available muskets were still just a stone being pushed out of a tube, and they could barely hit the side of a barn. April 20th, 1999, 2 shooters walked into Columbine High School in Colorado and killed 13 people with highly advanced weaponry that the framers of the Constitution could never imagine. We have a problem, a uniquely American problem, that we can fix. However, I want to be clear that I'm not arbitrarily afraid of guns themselves. I'm an Eagle Scout, and through scouting, I've shot firearms for a very long time. I understand why people feel that they should have them, but it is imperative that we as a society make those firearms harder to obtain, so that all students have the opportunity to pursue an education without the fear of being killed. Today, we are joining students from over 2,500 schools across the country and the world. All sides of this debate must understand that the Bill of Rights guarantees the right to free speech, but we have a responsibility to listen. Listening is what makes change. Listening to others and ourselves, listening to ideas for how we can change. Listening to those who've lost their loved ones, and listening so that no one has to go through that pain again. And I know many of you are scared, and it's true. Gun violence is a scary thought. We don't want to think that one day River Hill could be the name all over the news. However, this is not cause for despair. We need to harness the most important asset of our humanity to get through this issue, hope. But but what is hope? Emily Dickinson described the enduring constants of hope by saying, "Hope is the thing with feathers. It keeps flying through hardship." I say that hope is the lit candle in the darkness. Hope is love conquering hate. Hope is the foundation for which we all live upon. Hope is seeing this community come together to fight to end gun violence. After learning of the atrocities that occurred in Parkland, like after every school shooting, I was distraught, upset, and fearful. Gun violence affects everywhere. It has even affected us here in River Hill. That is unacceptable. And when I heard about the movement to organize walkouts on this day, 1 month after the shooting at Parkland, through my distress, I jumped on the opportunity to make change. I registered with the national organizers of today's walkout, taking up responsibility for making the walkout here happen. I did not anticipate all that needed to be done to make today possible, but I also could have never anticipated the outpouring of support I've received in the last 3 weeks. Students, staff, and community members who have offered all that they could to help make today possible, to make our voices heard. They give me hope. Hope that contrary to what certain organizations want us to believe, people are good and they want this violence to end. Martin Luther once said that everything in this world is done by hope. Hope is what gets us through these tragedies and pushes us so that they never happen again. In a few moments we will head back inside, but this cannot and must not be the end to our activism. We must tell our administrators and politicians how we want to see our laws and society change so that we may be safe. My fellow organizers and I are making sure that we will keep advocating on behalf of you, and be sure to listen as we will tell you how you can join us. But hope is work. Hope requires effort. Hope is what gets you up in the morning, not what lets you sleep at night. Hope is the motivation to make each day better than the last. And at this time, we have immense power. The nation and the world are watching. Watching the younger generation, our generation, stand up for what is right. In this difficult day, in this difficult time for the United States, it is perhaps well to ask what kind of nation we are and what kind of nation we want to be. To answer that thought spoken by Robert Kennedy in 1968, we are a nation of love, of compassion, and of hope. And we know what direction we want to move in. We are here to tell the world that we, the teenagers of the United States of America, are entitled to life. Thank you all for coming out. We now invite you to head back inside because gun violence should not disrupt our education in the same way, or that protests should not disrupt our education in the same way gun violence does. Thank you.